How's it going, Magicians fans? Today we're talking about episode 5, Cheat Day, and we have a very special guest, and we're going to talk about all the kinds of craziness that happened in this episode. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Whew, this episode, right?
God.
Oh
This is a creepy
my
song.
goodness.
Dark
This is your
wow.
choice, Adrian.
Yes.
Yes.
I know. And welcome to the Magicians After Show. Today we're talking about episode 5, Cheat Day. My name is Kari Lane. You can find me online at Kari D Lane, and we'll go around the table and get to our special guest in a moment. Let's go to my
Hey
left.
guys, I'm Joel Monique, and this song terrifies me. You can find me all over the internet at Joel Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And our special guest, the
Yay!
director of tonight's episode, Joshua Butler.
The master of horror himself. Oh my
Thank you.
goodness.
Thank you for having me again. This is so much fun.
Yeah, welcome back to
I'm
this season.
happy to be at the table instead of on the couch. So
Yay.
this is very cool. Thank you, Ty, for
One of
your
us.
European journey. or am I not supposed to out him like
No,
that?
that's fine.
We all know he's
Yeah.
jumping all over the
He's
place.
having
Yeah.
fun abroad, you know.
Yeah, he's a globetrotter.
His loss.
Yeah,
He's
well,
missing
I'll
out
take
on
it.
this.
I'll keep his seat warm. For him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow, and that's MSEDRINSNOW.
And thank you for the suggestion of this song, Adrian. For those of you who don't
Yes.
know, this is theme
is
song
awesome.
to Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah.
And it will give you nightmares. If you haven't seen the movie, you need to check it out because it's good.
Not
Yeah.
the remake.
No.
The
No,
original
don't do that to yourself.
1970s
You want
Roman
Polanski's
production with Mia
original.
Farrow.
And,
we can pretend the remake didn't happen.
Yeah,
It didn't
exist.
happen.
It doesn't exist.
It
We
doesn't
don't need to talk
exist.
about
Yeah,
it.
And-
just like that Indiana Jones movie, the fourth one.
Crystal
didn't
Skull?
That too.
Never
Yeah.
actually happened. Yeah. Well,
Now, right before we started,
Never happened.
Joshua, you
Never
mentioned that this episode didn't really have any music, and you want to repeat what you were saying of why you didn't really have music in this episode.
Well, there's a smattering here and there, but very minimal. I thought actually when we were putting together the especially the final scenes that there was something very sort of scary, even scarier, just keeping everything very silent and very sort of like you're listening for the next thing to happen, and it just seemed to be much more suspenseful without a score telling you what you're supposed to feel or what's coming up next, or building. You're thinking, oh, something's going to jump out or something's going to happen. So I just thought it was more random and therefore more unexpected if you just don't tell the audience what to think or feel with the music. So
It
that's
certainly puts you
I like
in
it.
a psychological kind of heady space as you're watching this episode, which usually it's a magic show, and even though we deal with a lot of dark topics, there's
Yes.
usually like a nice comic relief, and I kept waiting for it to happen here, and I was like, oh, it's not that episode. Got it.
Mikovsky was the comic
Mikovsky,
relief.
we hope gave you some
It was.
smiles.
I got the Snickers, but also he scares me. So I could never have a teacher like him.
Oh.
I would be horrified.
No, his comedic timing, excellent job on
Brian O'Byrne
his.
is
Oh my
fantastic.
goodness.
Yeah.
Like I kind of knew where it was gonna go, but I liked the delivery so much. I was like,
Yeah.
yes, that's what I wanted. Exactly.
I think he was the comic relief up until about 25 minutes in, and then when you have
Yeah, but
that
like-
realization, it's kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, that's the thing about the show is like the tone has to be very carefully monitored because you don't want it to turn into something that isn't grounded. You want to keep
Right.
everything, all the characters like real. And the thing about Mikovsky, I think Brian, who plays Mikovsky, does this amazing sort of tightrope walk of like not that character. That character could be a caricature.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just say that 10 times fast.
Yeah.
That character could be a caricature if you don't have such a strong actor who's giving the humanity to him.
Yeah.
And so so it's good that if you don't laugh, that's okay too. It's
Good.
like,
I felt bad for a second.
no, it's not.
Not very like boisterous
funny,
out
ha.
loud laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we loved him last season too.
Well,
Yeah.
the other night I happened to start watching No Reservations, and I was,
yes.
Brian, is that his name? Wait, the actor?
Brian, yes.
Brian?
Is Brian in that?
Yes. And I was like, Mayakovsky?
That's the Catherine Zeta-Jones.
That is
thing?
Catherine
Zeta-Jones.
So they play, like-
yeah, with the
He did a really
chefs.
good job, because that neighbor could have been played as creepy,
Oh, that's right.
and he didn't really. So he's really able to kind of make a character likable and sympathetic, even when you don't really know like how you're supposed to swing on them. Like, should I like this person? Should I not? Are they?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, he's a very accomplished stage actor, and he has so much craft that he can just sort of do anything. He was actually on Aquarius, which was that show
David
that
Duchovny.
John McNamara, also who co-developed The Magicians for TV. He had created that show as well, so he knew Brian from that show, and
Nice.
he played a completely different character on that show. So he's got an amazing range.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, obviously.
And then I want to say, if any of you are watching this live, feel free to join us in the chat. And if you have any questions for our special guest, please just chime in the chat below. And if you are watching it later, just leave comments down below because we want to know what you think of the episode. And we definitely have had a lot of discussion with people on the episode after and like their further thoughts. And one of the ones.
Actually, Booth, can we get the chat up live in studio? It's like, thank you.
Yeah. But we'll get into the episode. We have Dean Fogg and Penny, and his hands are just his hands. And there's not really many. He has a couple options. Go the way Quinton went, and then we see where that goes. Or go to Breakville South, and he doesn't really seem thrilled with that.
Yeah. I was excited when they were like, Breakville South. I'm like, if anyone can figure it out, it's this guy.
Yeah.
Mikovsky's going to get the job done. I was very excited, especially when the Dean was like, there was some strange wording in there, and maybe I heard it wrong. The Dean says, these were your hands, but these aren't your hands, these are something else.
Something like that, because the Dean says, my hands are mine.
Yeah.
Because that's why he can still do magic. And
What
so
are his
technically,
hands then? I have a lot
they're
of
not
questions.
originally his.
Well, it's something that
They're
that was
enchanted.
enchanted, born out of like almost like a wish. So if that's the case, then I don't know. It's kind of like just like a replacement pair. So if they're not like born with you, then what does that mean? And
Interesting. I'm still patiently waiting. Go back and see the river guy. I feel like this is really. It can only start.
I feel like it's kind of just too late at this.
It can only end at the beginning. Like there's
Like-
got to be some kind of penance. This is how magic works.
Those aren't even
The
the
one who
cursed
casts the
hands.
spell can undo it.
But those aren't the cursed hands anymore.
Find your dead hands and sew them back on. I don't know. There's options. I'm ready for
Find
this
your rotted
storyline to
hands.
start like paying off. Like I need Penny to start doing something.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Oh no, absolutely. And I was just waiting because even when he gets there, they're like, okay, your hands are useless for magic. And then Mikovsky's like, okay, well, I'll help you, but you gotta do these tasks. And at first, I was just like, okay. Oh, maybe this is teaching him patience. Nope. Because apparently he was not getting that message. I'm like, oh no, you're still being an asshole, like the whole time. And so, Joshua, if you want to talk about like that journey for Penny and Mikovsky and having to do that. Oh, and like the comedic timing of him falling from the ceiling was like, he's gonna fall.
Yeah, I saw you. I was watching the episode with Kari, and it was she was waiting for it, and it was running cute, right? Yeah,
That's good.
Yeah, thank you. No, I mean, well, that's again, those moments are very important to time out. Just and again, it's like not funny, haha, but the idea is that it gives you that extra sense that Mikovsky is kind of playing around with the idea that he has the power and he knows the entire sort of game, but he's not going to let Penny in on it. And I think it's funnier that that it's a revelation at the end, like what Penny's been doing, because the more trivial and bizarre the tasks seem, I think the more the audience just sort of wonders what the ultimate game is. So yeah, it's just again with Arjun and Brian, they just had such a great chemistry that we could really play with all those moments, and there's a lot more that obviously didn't make the show. We just had a lot. You have to get it down to a arable time. So there's some moments that I miss, but we do. We obviously can't take the hour like we could have with this episode. It was about 10 minutes long when I delivered my director's cut. So there's a lot that had to get trimmed.
Are there director's cuts later of the episodes ever?
Very rarely. Usually in TV, in movies, we have that luxury more. But sometimes I guess pilots or season finales. Sometimes they'll go out of their way. But it's pretty expensive to do two versions of a show.
I know Parks and Rec did that for their final season. They were able to kind of have their director's cut of the series finale, and then I think I want to say What the Fork? What's that show? Oh, The Good Place. I think The Good Place has like a director's cut version that they do on Hulu. I could.
Oh, that's cool.
So it might be changing.
Yeah.
I have a very weird question about these scenes. The sawdust. As somebody who's worked in film, I just had nightmares about this giant pile. And obviously, I'm sure there are things built underneath. Was that all a hassle? Was it a struggle? That's all I could think about when I was watching it. It was like...
Yes, there was a lot of dust on the set. It was very dusty. But also, yes, there were... we had to plan out the stages very carefully. So there was the first pile with the table partly sawed off, and then later it was the bigger pile, and then ultimately the biggest pile. And the cool thing about the biggest pile is that, yes, you're correct, there was actually a structure that we built, so we didn't actually have to create a full pile of dust. And it was actually quite nice because Brian could lie in the structure. We built it around his potential body placement, but again, poor Brian had to then get his face dumped and covered up on with actual sawdust for the scene, so but he was a trooper. So.
I'm sure the RPAs were having just a joyous time, just so much fun.
Oh yeah, it was no, and anybody with an allergy on set was not doing well. Yeah, but
the things you guys do for art.
But for
amazing.
It's preserved for eternity. So our labors are recorded. Yes.
Now, between those two, and it happens a lot in this episode, we talked a little bit about it before the show, there's a lot of swearing, which is awesome that they do it. I'm so happy they do it, and I'm glad that they say the F word. They just, bleep it for TV.
Well, and I'm so happy that they released the uncensored version of season 1, so I'm assuming, so they'll do it, I'm sure, on season 2 as well. It's just, much more fun to hear the actual words.
Does that ever play into the acting, like where people are allowed to finally use a swear word instead of like toning it down?
Yeah, there's a great deal of freedom when we shoot it. Like there's that element that we can go there. The one interesting thing is editorially, it's very interesting when you're not seeing the character actually saying the F word. It doesn't quite work. It's sort of like you almost have to see their face not say it versus like it being on a reaction shot where somebody's saying it off camera. So that's the one little trick you kind of have to worry about with these things. Obviously, it wouldn't matter if you could hear the actual word. But
And then like
the art of censorship, yes.
Right. Now, someone kind of brought up in the chat, and Matthew's like, can we talk about the writing, the intense scenes with Julia and Katie? So I was going to say, let's talk about Julia and Katie. We first meet them, and they're doing like research about Renard, and then she sort of gets all sick with the pizza. I'm like, oh, morning sickness. And
called it.
Yes.
Called it.
Good job, Adrian.
Episode 1 or 2.
Nice. Go, Adrian.
I was like, she's probably pregnant.
And then,
which is unfortunate.
But isn't it crazy or awesome, whatever adjective you want to use, that they have a whole discussion about abortion between two women on TV?
And that one of the women has already had an abortion, which is not something you'll end up
this conversation is so real and relatable. If you've ever been in this situation, if you've ever talked to one of your girlfriends who's gone through this situation, that conversation resonates so clearly and so accurately. I was excited as hell to see this.
So if you'd like to chime in on the process
that's what's so great about The Magicians is that it's a show that has conversations like the episode I directed last season where people were talking about like characters were talking about their sex lives and how they couldn't satisfy each other, and that's in the context of a genre show. This is a sci-fi channel show. It's a sci-fi show, but it's great that there's now characters in a storyline that addresses these issues and addresses them honestly, and obviously Jade and Stella, who play the roles, are amazing, and they are so relatable as actors and characters, and it's really thrilling to be able to really talk about issues like this and really just depict them honestly.
Yeah, I think it was a much more realistic showing of abortion than I've seen on television. I think the last one I saw was Scandal, and it was very much kind of like that theatricalized version of it, of like, she doesn't tell anyone, and she just leaves, and she goes to the doctor, and then it cuts away. But there's a whole, I think, thing with abortion in real life where it is more of a discussion where you do kind of discover, I'm kind of outing myself as someone who's had an abortion, but you do kind of discover that more women have had it than not.
Yep.
Like when you have to break that news to a friend of yours because you're nervous or you're afraid, what I found is that I ended up being faced with a lot more of people saying, well, I've gone through it too, or I've been there too, or just like there's a sense of community even when you go to the doctor, of like going in and going to Planned Parenthood.
We love you. Y'all agree.
Not just for abortions, women's health.
Absolutely.
and men's health, too. Yeah. Men go as well.
And men's health. It's a good place to go. But there's a sense of community in terms of, like, even going into the room. And women kind of, it's of all ages. It's not something that's just a young woman's problem or an older woman's problem. So you see everyone kind of helping each other. So it was nice to see that kind of dynamic to it, that you are going and being faced with like a female nurse and a female doctor, and they're not making it about shame.
Yeah, well, and the fact that the show didn't center on the drama of getting it, but on the drama of the process of actually getting it. So not having it, but like, how do I get into the room to do it in the first place? Yeah. Like,
the
and
waiting there's
period.
a waiting.
Gosh, that was awful.
Julie, I'm like, just do it now. I'd agree about that.
Get this thing out of her, God.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I really liked all of these things a lot. I thought they were wonderfully performed. She was like, they're just a clump of cells. Like, we can manage this. This is not even the issue until it is the issue. Can we talk about the last scene, or do we need to wait?
No, we may as well go. I was going to say, shout out again to, Matthew brought up in the chat was bringing up the, let's talk about them, and then when the AfterBuzz gets more real than the episode with #StandWithPP.
Always and forever.
Yes.
Go Matthew.
Let's just do their storyline, because that's pretty... it just made me squirm.
My God.
Like,
first of all, you need to go in there with her. Like, I know it's a private thing, but she is in danger. Please go hold her hand. Like, I was like, bad things are going to happen.
You know? Like, they're best bitches.
You were talking about building up tension. The nurse at the front desk, the fact that she deletes it, and I was like,
what is that?
Yeah.
What is that?
What's going on?
Yeah.
I don't understand. And then when it became apparent that she just doesn't even remember, I was like, oh no, he's here.
I thought that too.
I was like, oh God, Radar is here. It's not a good look.
It was like, I thought, I mean, this is what I assume it was. It was the baby. It was the baby, protecting itself. Yeah.
I didn't even, wow. I thought it was Reynard resurrected from somewhere else being like, I need to be in the room. But you think the baby is like, I am not going to die. The baby is sentient already in the belly?
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
No, I started with, it was Renard, and then I went to it's the baby protecting itself.
Maybe I've seen too many, like,
I was like, there's a sci-fi show, and like, you're trying to hurt yourself, or any...
the baby.
Like, seriously! Like,
it's the controlling baby trope. Yes.
And Rosemary's Baby. Yeah. It's like things being like, I'm not going to let you kill me.
Yeah. Or even it's a parasite in your body, which technically babies are. There's my stance on babies. I'm like, they literally are, guys. But protecting itself from the body, like there was a sci-fi like Outer Limits episode of that, like somebody had a parasite thing and they kept trying to hurt themselves and their body repaired itself or prevented the damage.
Yeah.
So, please talk about how you did that setup of this environment that we're all like sitting in our chairs like, no.
Well, I mean, it was very important to me and to everybody on the crew and the writers, and John and Sera and everyone involved. We wanted to make sure that we got this right, and it was, like to make it feel as real as possible. Again, like sci-fi show doesn't necessarily mean, you need to sort of fake anything that's, that should be playing as real. So we really wanted to make those scenes as honest as possible, and that's actually interestingly another reason why I felt the music there should be no score in any of those scenes, because it just felt like we were stepping on the real emotion and the real experience of taking those steps and going through to a clinic and putting yourself in the hands of a doctor who ultimately if you don't trust your doctor, that's the fear that we're obviously also trying to invoke. And obviously I think your theory is spot on about the baby trying to protect itself, but also the idea of like how when you're helpless and in a situation like that, how do you react? Like what are the human emotions? And that's why we really stretched it out. Like it was very important to me because in the as the longer she was trying to work on put the instruments together, the longer she was trying to get ready. I was hoping that it would just make people a little bit more like, okay, they feel like they're in the room with Julia.
We had this moment with another mother in season 1 where all of a sudden her nose is bleeding, then her whole face explodes open.
Yeah,
And I thought
Katie's mom.
Yeah, I thought we were gonna get another one of those. I thought she was having like an aneurysm, like because her hand started failing, and I was like, okay, maybe like she's there. It's working its way from the inside out. Son, when she picked up that tool, though, oh my gosh!
Oh, yeah.
First out, shout out to Barry's mom. For those of you who watched The Fast, that was
Flash.
the woman who is just the best at dying in scenes. She is. She's done it every season.
You recognized her? Yeah, she's really good,
She
right?
plays Barry Allen's mom.
She's a great Canadian actor. Yeah,
the woman can die. The woman knows she's like intact with it, and like nothing was more haunting to me throughout. Well, the body switching, which we'll get into in a minute, was very haunting to me. But her scream of like, because usually, like a lot of times when you hear actresses scream, like it's just a scream, like it could be for any reason. But hers was a specific like, I can't stop doing this and it's painful. And I was like, I want this scene to end so badly, but it was so well done.
It was because you don't even actually see like her, because a lot of times I think people overdo it because they show you, but just hearing her scream and it cuts to Julia, that's enough because you know what's happening.
Well, we shot the shot.
Oh, you did?
We just didn't use it, but we did build a prosthetic eye, and we actually did show.
Thank you for that.
And so this wonderful actor, she actually had a prosthetic that we put on her face so that she could actually stab her eye for real, and then there was a blood rig inside it. So, but it was too much. So but yeah, we tried. We went for it. But I'm glad that you
coverage is good.
You didn't need it. Yes, we needed to do that.
Sometimes I believe in the French perspective of violence. The French believe that violence is something that happens off screen, and you see the after.
Correct. Right. Yes, but we thought we'd try.
Now, all the stuff that comes in this episode, is there any issue when you like submit it? Does anybody come back and go, wait, we need to tone it down on any subject matter that's covered?
Well, there's the standards and practices. That's what they call the department at the network that basically tells you what you can and cannot show.
Right.
But Syfy Channel has been remarkably open with this show. In my opinion, they've been very much like expanding beyond where they've ever had. The restrictions are not really applying to the Magicians the way they apply to all the other shows they've showed before.
Nice. Because you also directed last season with the orgy scene.
I did. Yes.
And I remember that being, I was like, whoa, that's very.
But it's just a very telling thing, and it's very strange to me that in American television, that's okay, but we can't say the F word. There's. I mean, you start to.
Well, there are many things that are
like that.
It's like, well, okay. You can watch somebody get blown to bits on American TV, but you can't see like a man go down on a woman. That's like a big thing.
Or a woman
that's
masturbating. Constantly.
So
this episode too, masturbation is discussed, and a woman mentions she masturbates.
Correct.
And like Magicians has done an excellent job of like,
normalizing
exactly everything that because normally you just hear about the guy
well and again last season this other episode which included the Roman orgy, the idea that Alice Quinn raises her hand and says, hi, I'm sorry you're not satisfying me sexually. That's again a moment you just don't really see on TV. So.
And then also, real quick, last little maybe button on Julia and Katie, unless you guys had any other moments that you thought of. The moment when the doctor's like, if this is a issue of abuse, I need to report it, and nobody is above the law. And Julia kind of scoffing at that. And I'm like, oh. Because when you are that victim, you feel like there's no way that person's gonna get the punishment you feel they deserve.
Right.
So
and then it kind of really puts into focus her predicament. Just what you can't run from a god, like a literal god. Oh man, I'm really hoping some spells start happening, some charms. Like I feel like protection spells need to be cast. I want them carving things into the floor. Like it's time to button down the fort. Like it's not safe.
I didn't know if you had anything to add on those other moments.
Well, it's just interesting, because Adrian brought up Rosemary's Baby, and I just think that which is one of my favorite films of all time, and I just think that is a very that journey of Mia Farrow's character. Obviously, if people haven't seen it, they should go out and see it immediately. But it's just about really like trying to track the actual human responses to what's going on, and of course that irony, the supernatural irony that the doctor doesn't quite get, with when she says above the law, but it was all in the service of trying to make that all feel as real and as honest as possible.
And it also calls into real life, like even if it had been somebody who could be touched by police, the truth is that probably wouldn't matter, because if it 9 times out of 10, if someone is a victim of rape or domestic violence, that person will be back on the streets within a matter of days, if not months. So it's kind of,
I mean, the goal was that line would work both ways.
Exactly.
If you knew the mythology of the show, or even if you didn't, that was just a very human response that Julia had to the system that she was walking into.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Elliot. We have a lot of
boy.
Woo! First bit, we get the humor with the champagne, still not quite working. And then we get the rabbit going pregnant.
That was adorable.
So, was it specifically written to be a rabbit, or was there animal choices? Okay.
And that is, by the way, a little trivia. The voice of the rabbit is actually the writer of the episode, Mike Moore.
Oh!
And the reason he got the job was because when we were shooting it, we needed somebody to do the off-camera lines because the rabbit was terrific. And by the way, the rabbit, we gave the rabbit little pellets, things to eat. So actually, we didn't really have to do any visual effects on the voice. So the voice was just able to. So when I was watching at the monitor, and we're watching and we're filming the rabbit and we're shooting the scene, and Brittany's holding the rabbit and Mike is off camera, the writer, just perfectly timed pregnant so I was like watching it going, okay, he needs to be the voice. So we went through the channels to make sure that he could get approved to do that.
That's adorable.
I'm so happy he made the final cut, because he's a great guy and he did a great job writing it. So
and then Fenn's kind of like, I'm pregnant, and then later they have their scene where Elliot and Fenn are talking, and she's like, you're not really happy about this.
But before we go to that, can I just say I like the symbolism of it being a rabbit. Yeah. It's just like, you fuck like rabbits, or you're going to have a bunch of babies like rabbits.
I liked his collar.
His ruffle.
Thank you. Yes, I love the ruffle.
It sold me on the fact that this rabbit could talk and tell you were pregnant. I was like, yeah, that rabbit knows.
Well, I mean, there's a talking sloth behind them.
Yeah, but the sloth has a branch, so you need like a prop for the animal to sell me that it's like good,
and the sloth needs a translator.
That's true.
So. Sloth is very important.
Sassy was the actress who played the sloth.
Oh, Sassy.
Was it fun having a sloth on set?
Yeah, I just posted on Twitter. I posted a selfie I took with Sassy. It was my sloth directing debut tonight. So,
yay!
But she was terrific.
She seems like a very active sloth.
Very active and very very good at reactions. Like we did, like, a lot of the things. You're like, oh, okay. It looked like, again, at the monitor when I'm watching it, it looked like she was actually listening to the actress.
How does one get reactions from a sloth?
Well, we project. I mean, it's like I'm not using any actual methods of directing. You just sort of turn on the camera and you. No, it is a wild animal. There's no way to train a sloth. But Sassy is just sort of like she's a natural.
She's a natural.
Yeah. Sometimes we have sound effects.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's people.
Yes.
And then an interesting callback. We've mentioned some callbacks. We have Emily, played by Abby Miller, and Quinton. So we remember her from last season.
We go back to Elliot and Fenn. Are we done with their storyline?
No, we'll come back to it. Okay. It was just that moment when they're pregnant, and then there's a way bigger thing too.
She's going back to the chronology.
I just like that Elliot was talking about his dad.
Yes.
The fact that the reason that he felt he couldn't have children or be a good father because his father wasn't there, and he didn't have a good example. And I just love that what Elliot's facing throughout this entire season is just impossible, insurmountable challenges. Now you're a king. Now people hate you and they want to overthrow you as king. Now your farms are dying and there's no food. And every time he's like, I can't. Oh, maybe I'll try this. And it's just really beautiful to see him start coming into his own.
And now you're a father.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Now you're a farmer and a father. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, a king farmer. Farmer king?
Farmer King.
Yeah.
Father, farmer.
With Emily and Quinton, we have the mundane life, and it felt like magic was like AA together.
Yes, except that they were drinking to escape the magic.
Yes. Yeah. She's like, oh my goodness, I can't talk about it. And you're just like, oh, this is really awkward.
She couldn't even take a stain cleanup, poor girl.
I know, right? That'd be such a small, thing.
I mean, she went through some pretty, she
but then later
disfigured her face, and then the guy who was attempting to help her niffed out in front of her and disappeared.
Yep.
So I understand her
been through a lot.
Her reticence.
Yeah, but then later, okay, well, we mentioned the masturbate line in the office, which that was
hilarious. That part, I forgot that part happened.
That guy
and it was
who
hilarious.
plays the other coworker who makes soup out of the Keurig and masturbates because he the only place to get out. He was great.
Yeah, he's great. Another Vancouver local, terrific actor.
It was a lot of fun.
And then with their storyline, we get kind of their lonely bonding between them because they're both kind of lonely, and the discussion of do you blame yourself, because they both feel they have the niffing out. And then today is cheat day, and the weed and enchanting your lips of.
That was so cute. Don't ask me why. I just really enjoyed it, guys. Quinton's really high speech bubble. I was like, "There's the Q we know. Look at carefree, dorky Q." I was happy to have him back.
And it was also just a really nice, touching moment of is it the horse that?
Oh no, that broke me a little.
Yeah. I thought it was really sweet because you kind of forget that's all goes back to Charlie.
Yeah.
Well,
good. I'm glad everybody got that. That's very good. You're good students of the Magicians. Thank you.
Yes.
And I was gonna say we can finish out their bit because then there's a big thing that we talked about with them. They have the illusion spell, and that's when we learn that Mikovsky is the teacher. And then she,
Well, when they brought her, when she was brought back this episode, I was like, oh. It's Mikovsky. For some reason, just because they were in the same episode, even before we got to that point, I was like,
you're good at calling these things.
She's very intuitive.
Wow, very intelligent.
I've ruined so many things for myself. I ruined The Sixth Sense. I ruined The Good Place.
Oh, you knew he saw dead people? Mm-hmm. Oh wow. Okay.
I knew Bruce Willis.
Was dead. Well, yeah.
Spoilers from 1999. What?
20 minutes in, though.
You did, no. Well, there's that cut after he gets shot, and he's fine. And
well,
you're like, okay.
It was more so the sorry, whatever.
I was gonna say we're low on time.
Miles
on the Magicians.
It was the reach for the check.
Okay.
You know.
Oh yeah, that's very good. Yeah, you can't pull anything, put anything past you.
Well, you mentioned how she doesn't, Adrian. You're talking, she doesn't want to do magic, but then they have that wonderfully semi-creepy and awkward illusion spell together, and cuddling and sex.
No, it was awful and awkward. Here's the thing: don't pretend to be someone else when you're having sex. It's weird. It's not cool. I mean, role playing is one thing, but being an entirely different person and a crutch, this didn't seem healthy. And when Q stood up and was like, "I feel much worse than I did before," I was like, "No, you think? You think you have sex with your dead girlfriend? It's weird."
I think that was kind of the point, though. That it was they're kind of broken. The reason that they're at, is it Plaxco?
Plaxco, yes, the business of enterprise and the enterprise of business. Yes, Mike Moore came up with this. It's great. It's just completely meaningless slogan. We wanted it to be the most generic office work possible.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it's a business of enterprise business. Those mugs, by the way, were crew gifts.
Amazing.
Yeah, we still have some Plaxco mugs. Yeah.
And then, actually, real quick, now that we were talking about things that you may not notice, you pointed out the email thing, because it goes by really fast, is Quinton emailing Alice's family.
I paused to read that email. Terrible email, Quinton. Just the wording of it is I'm so sorry I had to tell you this, but your daughter's never coming back. And she meant a lot to me, and I love her, but she's gone now. And I'm like, maybe not the best way to tell parents. Even her parents who are batshit.
I watched the episode twice, and the first time I thought he was writing an email quitting the job, and then the second time I saw it, I was like, oh wait, this is Alice. Really? This is how he starts an email about your daughter dying?
It's not good.
That's so messed up.
Good look.
That's a nice little gem that you're like, wait, what is that? And then they have that you can't cheat every day. Quinton's like, okay, I did the one thing. I needed it. I feel awful, but that was it.
I'm glad that they exercise their demons out on each other, because I really feel like who else could they go to in this world to understand this broken aspect of them? It's still not a healthy option, and now Q is seeing dead people.
And we have the last bit with Quinton is seeing Alice across the street and almost getting hit by a bus.
Yeah, after she disappears,
do you like Final Destination?
Like,
that feels like a Final Destination.
It was a very Final Destination.
Yeah. Oh my gosh,
that was fun.
Final Destination.
So can you allude at all to what that means, or is that way too spoilery for...
Which part? The bus?
Seeing Alice.
Oh, seeing Alice. Well, I mean, you saw in the trailer for next week's episode sort of where that's going. Okay. So, that's basically what...
I didn't see the trailer, so I'm very excited to go home. I have to watch the next episode tonight anyway, so I'm excited.
And you also see where that email's going, obviously in the same promo. So, yeah. So,
Okay. All right.
Do you guys want to... Sorry.
Well,
jump back to
Elliot. Yes, exactly. Elliot, we have the Foo Fighter.
Yes!
So delightful.
That was such a light delivery, and then you go,
I loved that.
That was excellent.
At first, I was like, did he just say Foo Fighter? Like the Foo Fighters?
Yep. And okay, well, actually, sorry, real quick from the chat, Renji asks, and this is for Joshua: was Quinton seeing Alice in an illusion, real, or Emily stalking him?
Well,
how did you direct that scene? I guess you could answer it that way.
Well, the idea was that it was basically because of the illusion spell. It was Quentin's memories of Alice, and what he would basically in his own mind conjure up. The ideal version of the Alice that he so desperately misses. And the way we shot it was really kind of fun because we had both Olivia and Abby, who played Emily, there, and we had sort of basically Abby recorded the dialogue first, and then so Olivia could sort of get
matched
Abby's cadence, and so we kind of matched it, and we did this sort of...
in the shower bit?
Is that what we're talking about?
Oh, I've seen the end.
Oh, the end. Oh, at the end. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood the question.
Yeah.
I went back to the bathroom.
No, but that's really cool to hear how you shot that bit.
Yeah, no, and so the same thing with Brian and Mikovsky. I had Jason recorded the dialogue, and then Brian was really great at doing a Jason Ralph impression. So for that. So at the end, I cannot say.
Okay, fair enough.
That I can't talk about.
That's
but
right.
I can talk about how I shot it.
Yeah.
Yes. So we basically closed down an entire street in Vancouver, and we got as many New York-looking vehicles as possible in there, and we had about 150 extras or background artists, and as we call them, and we choreographed it so that the cars would go by, and there'd be like 2 or 3 cars at a time, and sort of reveal her and then not, and then kind of you see her and then she says something and maybe you catch it, maybe you don't, but ideally you see her say the words "help me."
Yeah, that's what I saw.
Did you get that?
Like,
okay, yeah. So
I'm glad that you guys said it because I did not catch it.
You didn't catch it, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. So based off of that and the fact that we see her in the clothes that she died in, I'm going to say it was real. And I look forward to seeing how that plays out next episode.
I was going to say, we'll get for that for our prediction. Just one moment. Elliot, we have the Foo Fighters. They want a Florian on the throne.
Which is dumb because we already know only a human can, be on the throne.
That's what Elliot brings up. He's like, go after Ember.
Talk to Ember.
Yeah, go after that one.
Yeah.
And... I was gonna. I guess the only other.
I did like I just wanted to touch on it quickly. The introduction of Baylor, and because I was something. Baylor.
Baylor.
That's something that
Baylor. Yes.
I pick on usually. I kind of picked up. I was like, he seems kind of sketch, but it was
when he was pouring the wine.
When he was pouring the wine, because he was just so serious. But it was a great cover. I was just wondering how you guys I guess shot that because it was, or even edited it. It was just so well done in terms of, if you're not really looking closely at him, you wouldn't think that was going to be the next move of him strangling.
Right. Well, that was the balancing act when we were blocking the scene. It's like, do you hide him completely behind, Elliot? Do you sort of allow the audience to see his face and then not, it's like, so it was kind of like trying to find that. I'm glad it worked for you because it was, it's just, you could go too far in one direction or another. You want it to be a little bit creepy but maybe not, and then the surprise of the strangulation hopefully is. Yeah, so we did a few different rhythms for that, but just to cover ourselves, but we found, I think, a good one in the editing room. So
well, with that too, they have what are they going to do with him should they kill him or not? And What do you for the ladies too? What do you think of the line of "This is what patriarchy smells like"?
One, I loved it. Two, okay. Very quickly, the introduction of Baylor is so freaking awesome because I've been waiting for a magical war of any kind to cross my screen for so long, and now I feel like we're gonna get one, and that makes me really, really pumped. Two, Margot is gonna just bloody awesome queen. I just would really like to see her maybe try to change some rules. She is magic after all, and it would be really.
She's a little Queen Cersei, and I kind of like it. I kind of dig it.
I like the fact that she is just unrelenting, and yet she's so smart. The fact that she was like, let's lay it out. Just study some history. We don't know how to run a country. Yeah. We'll figure it out. And the fact that she was able to sketch it out, and Bay of Pigs is on the other side of the question mark. I'm so excited. I really want to see her take on some more queenly duties, and maybe, I don't know if I want to see her fully usurp Elliot, but I would like to see her take a stab at him.
But they're a good balance, though, because she was being I think it's good she's being firm, but she's almost too aggressive.
I want her to take it too far.
And then maybe he's too weak, so it's they need each other.
They have to balance each other.
Yeah.
Out.
I just want to see her take it too far, because it will be fun for me to watch. Not because I think that's what she should do, but because it'll be fun.
And we have to reveal that Fen is an ex-fighter. And then also very intimate with Baylor as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, any other thoughts on those moments and reveals?
The fact that Fen is with or had been with Baylor at some point is very interesting to me.
Last question.
A Gaston feel from Baylor. I did get a Gaston feel from Baylor. Yes,
was that intentional?
There's only so many ways that these particular magical, realities come about.
Yeah.
There's definitely parallels. I don't think it was that intentional.
The swarthy former love interest. I think what was most interesting about this was the fact that Fen was so loyal to Elliot. We've seen her be with Elliot, and it's clear that she's enjoying her position. But I wouldn't have put money down that she would be that faithful. If an old flame came into her life.
That's really vulgar thought. I don't know if I should share that.
Go
please
for it.
Do.
No, please.
It's all about that D.
It is all about that.
She kind of said that. No, you're not wrong, though. She totally brought up to Elliot, no, really.
And she's pregnant as well. I think that's something where it's I've kind of built this life, and I kind of like it.
But
I don't want to go back.
I feel like they've established very strongly in this episode that she thinks that Elliot is a good king, which I think is really important. Their partnership is kind of the inspiration. If I don't fall in love, I just hope to have a partnership as strong as Fen and Elliot.
He treats her well. He's not, mean to her. There's way worse lovers and partners a person could have.
He's an actual partner to her. He considers her feelings. He makes sure she's okay.
He wants to listen to her.
Yeah, all that stuff. Amazing.
And then any other final thoughts before predictions?
No.
Any other cool behind the scene things you can share with us?
Will there be a Wu-Tang Clan in the future now that we have the Foo Fighters? The chat wants to know. Reggie needs to know.
Oh. Yeah, well, it was just so much fun. All the different storylines. I think in this episode, just there was so much going on. I got very lucky with the Mike script and just this particular episode. And yeah, it's just shooting a magic show is just kind of a fun thing. You get to just be a kid and just kind of figure out how to create visual illusions and work with actors to try to figure out how many ways can we really just take the audience for a ride. So it's been fun.
All right, so shall we do predictions?
Let's do fast predictions.
Yes.
Predictions.
You seem to be ready with some.
I'm not. Okay. Penny will go back to that river person. I promise you, because it always ends at the beginning. And I would very much like to see war. Massive on-scale war. Also, if Allison is alive, which now I firmly believe she's somewhere in the ether, does that mean what can I think of his name? Moth guy, demon, beast.
Beast.
The Beast.
The Beast. We'll call him the Beast.
Martin.
Thank you.
Yes.
Is Martin also there? What's he doing? I feel like he's not gone, and I look forward to having him back because his voice is everything, and I want him to sing me songs.
He's very good at singing.
That's great.
I would like more scenes of Penny and Mikovsky because they're just so funny together, and I hope Penny. I want him to take those lessons and learn it as a thing of patience and being to calm down. He's just so quick of the anger and like that reflex. And Mikovsky brought up like I want Penny to get to that point of what does magic mean to him, because before he's like getting rid of the voices and everything, and now he has that. So I want him to man up and be better part of the team.
Yes.
I think with Mikovsky and Penny, I think Mikovsky has like ulterior motives. I don't necessarily think it's just about the battery, so I'm curious to see how that's gonna go.
Okay.
I also think I think I said last time, I was like, I don't think Alice is really dead, so I'm curious to see how they're gonna bring her back. And then with Julia and Katie, I don't know, I think that the baby's gonna have more control than they can really handle, and they're gonna have to figure out how to
look forward to their best bitch bond.
I'm worried it's gonna be super pregnancy. Like, it won't be a normal timeline. Like, it'll be a faster
situation here with
and I'm like,
and bellies.
I want Katie to do that magic and just get out.
And then I hope there's a war. I think that'll be fun.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say predictions, but
no, I can't.
What other projects are you working on that people can and where can people find you online?
I directed the season 2A finale of Shadowhunters, which airs March 6th. So I will be back here on AfterBuzz talking about that. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook at the Joshua Butler.
And then you have another episode this season, right?
Oh yeah, episode 10 of this season. So,
fancy.
If you don't have a seat to fill on March 29th, you're welcome to call me.
Right. Well, it's so good talking to you.
Yeah,
it's nice to get the insight and
love to talk
those
about 10.
moments.
10's going to be really good.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, they've just been increasingly getting more depth.
Yeah, the season is on fire, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, yes.
They're so good.
Yeah. Let's go around the table and do our sign off.
All right, I'm Adrian Snow. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Adrian Snow.
Hey guys, I'm Dominique. Follow me all over the internet at Joelle Monique and every week at blackgirlnerds.com.
And a big thank you to Joshua for coming today.
Thank
I'm
you.
so excited to have you here.
Again.
It's so
much fun.
And this show is just we all love it and sink our teeth into it, and like hearing behind the scenes is even better.
I love working on it.
Yay! Well, no, we can tell because it's like just how your insight into it after is like yay. And our moments where we're like, that's what we thought. Good.
Yeah. No, you're very good viewers. I must say, you pick up on everything, which is great. Yeah.
And thank you to you guys watching us, and give the video a thumbs up, 5 stars on iTunes, and you can find me online at Kari D Lane. That's KaridLane. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.